Hello and welcome to the New England Job Show. My name is Brian Henshey, and today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. Today my guest is Bob McIntosh. He's a career trainer, a certified professional resume writer, a CPRW, and a LinkedIn expert. He's a workshop specialist at the Lowell Career Center, where he leads 2 LinkedIn workshops and founded a LinkedIn group. Bob says to be a success in managing your career, you must have a tenacious appetite for learning and stay on top of the latest job searching techniques. Today, Bob will teach us how to use a key tool that everyone should use for a job search, LinkedIn. Bob McIntosh, welcome to the New England Job Show. Thanks for coming. So, why don't we start here? We already did do a show on social media, but we're going to talk specifically about LinkedIn today. So why don't we start with what role does LinkedIn play nowadays in job searching?
Wow. Well, you know, LinkedIn plays a large role in the job search for people who want to network online. It is the official online networking tool. It's a professional online networking tool, and it helps job seekers really reach out to other people who may help them in their job search, and whom they may help as well. I want to emphasize, though, that LinkedIn should not be their only method of looking for work and networking. You know,
yeah, it's just another tool in the quiver, right?
It's just another tool, absolutely. Yeah.
So what do employers do when they use LinkedIn and they try to find candidates? How are they using LinkedIn?
Well, employers, what they're doing is they are really perpetrating the hidden job market. Okay, what they're doing is they're looking for talent without the job seekers even knowing. What they do is they will type in keywords, you know, skills, experience the employer needs in job candidates, and then find us, you know, find the job seekers without us even knowing.
So why don't we go to the screen and you can show us what are the major parts of a LinkedIn profile that people should have?
Why don't we go to yours, Brian? Okay. One of the most important things is to have a photo. You know, some people question whether a photo is necessary, but if you think about it and you're networking and you're trying to brand yourself, one of the ways that you become really noticeable and well known by people is through your photo. You have a nice photo here, by the way. Another thing you need to really focus on is your title. Okay, and the title is part of the keywords that employers are looking for.
Okay.
So the more extensive your title, the better chance you will have of employers finding you.
Okay.
Okay. I like your current section here. Okay, because you're not
like my
leaving
own personal consultancy here, right?
Well,
go ahead.
no. I mean, a lot of people, what they'll do is either they'll leave their former position there, you know, and that does them a real disservice because then employers might think that they're still working, and also that's falsifying the information. But what I suggest is that if you're doing some volunteer work, such as you, then that's a great thing to include in your current field. And then also you'll see the past experience, and this is just simply what you've done in the past, what type of work you've done.
Can you put your hand down? Yep, getting a shot. Okay.
And you know, what you're willing to show on your profile.
Okay.
Employers are also looking for your number of recommendations.
Okay.
And
and I'm glad you brought that up because I've heard varying differences on this. I've heard some people say you should have a minimum of 6. I've heard other people say you should have 20 or 25 or as many as you can get. So how many recommendations should somebody really have on LinkedIn?
Well, I think 6 is a good number. I think it's a pretty healthy number.
Well, what's too many recommendations? Or is there such a thing as too many recommendations?
Yes, I think there is. I think when a job seeker has maybe 15 or 20 recommendations, then the employer might get a little leery. In other words, you know, what's he doing? Fishing for recommendations. And the other thing about recommendations is that oftentimes I'll see job seekers receive a recommendation and then also write a recommendation for someone else.
I've heard about that too.
Which is like trading recommendations.
Yeah, so it's like a tit for tat kind of recommendations, and then employers just want to throw out both recommendations because they were
pretty much
kind of meaningless.
Yep. So then we look at the connections, and you have 125 connections, which is a good number. I would say about 250 would be a healthy number to have.
I know that Right Management, they actually recommend having they say at least 200.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that shows the employer that you're really trying to reach out and you're trying to network. And with 250, that's a pretty healthy number.
Okay.
People who have their own business perhaps are in the 500 plus, which could mean that they have 500 recommendations or 5,000 or 50,000. But every time they get a connection, whenever they update their profile, all of those people who are connected with as first degree contacts get those updates, so their faces are getting known. Which brings us also to the update. It's very, very important to update whenever.
And I'm glad you're bringing this up, because this is also, I know a lot of social media sites are getting connected through various applications. I'm trying to think of the names, and of
Twitter.
course they're escaping me. What's that?
Twitter?
Well, I mean those applications where you can update your LinkedIn, your Twitter, and your Facebook all at the same time.
Right.
And I see these three things as being pretty different. So I never have my Twitter connected to my Facebook or to my LinkedIn or whatever.
Yes, yes. And as far as I know, you cannot connect LinkedIn to Facebook, but you can connect it to Twitter.
Well,
and
through LinkedIn, right.
Right. So every time you update on LinkedIn, it is tweeted to your Twitter account.
Right.
And vice versa.
Right.
So what I tell my customers is, don't tweet too often, because when that happens and you're connected to LinkedIn, then people are going to see your face all the time, and they might get tired of it.
Or keep it separated.
Or keep it separated, exactly. Right.
So what makes for an effective status update for your LinkedIn?
An effective status update for a job seeker would be anything that would imply that he or she is trying to better herself by maybe attending seminars or conferences, taking training, mentioning what's going on in the training as well, and also maybe giving webinars, or in your case, when you get home, you might want to update about how you hosted the New England Job Show and what the topic was, right? So, those make for good updates, I think.
Yeah, and of course, my most recent update was talking about how we did a previous show here at the New England Job Show about social media, meaning Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
So anyway, that of course is on nejs.org. So make sure that you're showing that you're making a good effort every time that you do something.
That you're just not sitting still.
Okay.
You're doing something. You're doing something in your job search.
And personally, to be honest, I have gone on some interviews. I've gone on lots of events, but do I typically put these on any of my social media? Quite honestly, no.
No, I wouldn't do that. No.
Well, I mean,
you might indicate that you are going for an interview, and that shows that at least you're getting some action there. But I wouldn't broadcast the interviews that didn't go all so well.
So maybe it's better to post after the fact.
Right,
if it didn't. Yeah. Okay. Well, how about? Do you want to talk about LinkedIn groups for a moment?
Yeah, groups are a wonderful thing, and I always stress to the customers that join as many groups as you can, but join a number of groups that you can manage. So in other words, if you join 15 groups, then make sure you're participating in all 15 of those groups. If you can't do that, then maybe you want to limit it to about 7 or so, okay? Because you want to join the discussions, and also you want to join groups that are job search related. Because in our group, for instance, we post jobs. And the only way you'll know about these jobs is if you're a member of the group.
Okay.
And also being a member of a group allows you to communicate with people who are not your first degree contact. In other words, who might be your second degree contact or your third degree contact.
Yeah, I've heard about that too, that effectively when you join a LinkedIn group, you have all your contacts in your network, and then you're basically adding on to your network all these other people in that group. That, of course, is assuming they actually look at and are actively participating in that other group. So, okay. In our remaining few minutes here, why don't we talk about do's and don'ts for LinkedIn?
Sure.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make when they're using LinkedIn? What do they do wrong?
Probably the biggest mistake is that they set up a LinkedIn account and then they just abandon it.
Okay, so if your information is stale.
Not only that, but they don't even work on any of the sections. They don't work on their summary, they don't work on their work history, their education. Essentially, it's just a placemat out there for employers to look at and say, oh my gosh, this person is not doing anything at all. A bad profile can hurt you, pretty much in your job search.
Okay. Okay. What else?
A bad profile, I mean, not only from the employer's perspective, but from a visitor's perspective, a poor profile with nothing on it will not want that person to stay on your profile or join your network.
Yeah, and I find a lot of people, especially given how our economy is today, the people who are working so many hours that a lot of the time they don't actively keep their pages up because they have so much to do, because they have so much work now.
Right.
So, so having an out-of-date profile. What else?
Not having a photo.
Oh. Okay. So why is the photo so important?
The photo again is important because it allows people to recognize you. It's part of your branding. Okay. It's part of your consistent branding. Okay. So with my photo, for instance, I have it on my LinkedIn profile and also on my my Twitter account. Okay. That allows people to immediately recognize me. Okay. And so the photo, I think, is important. People go back and forth. They're like, well, if I have a photo and I'm over 50, then the potential employer could practice age discrimination. Or I don't have a great photo. Well, the thing is that when an employer or a visitor sees that ugly gray box, then that's going to turn the person off more than help. So, wow, photos important. Also, keeping up with your networking activities, trying to, gather more quality contacts is also important. Okay. Updating as much as you can, that's important. So these are all the do's that you'll want to do. Okay. In terms of
Okay. So what about so we know, keep your information up to date, fill out the sections, right. Make sure that you're putting out status updates, sure. Show you're regularly involved with your job search and whatever it is that you do. What should people also make sure that they definitely do or definitely don't do? Well, they definitely should not expect help from everyone and not be willing to give it. The true nature of networking is not only to receive information and advice, but also to give it. Mm-hmm. So, someone who really wants to network properly will also be willing to share the information. And that's actually something that we touched on our previous show on social media with 4-tier strategies on nejs.org, of course, which was you want to be a value provider. You want to be providing as much value as you can to other people. Right. So, okay. Well, we are out of time for this segment. So, again, our guest is Bob McIntosh, and we are going to come back in a moment with another segment for the New England Job Show. I'm Brian Henschey.